Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. This is Dragonfire 29 in the Tier 7 premium British battleship HMS Duke of York. It's a Tier 7 domination battle here on the Haven map. So, what can we say about HMS Duke of York, Tier 7 British premium battleship? I mean, it's not bad. It's alright, I guess. But it's basically just a King George V. If you already have the Tech Tree Tier 7 British battleship, the King George V, then you've got HMS Duke of York. They're pretty much identical. And therein lies the problem. Because if you can effectively get this ship without having to put your hand in your pocket, why would you spend money on a ship that you can basically get for free in the Tech Tree? And that's a very good question. Because if you do have some gold burning a hole in your pocket and you're thinking, I know, I'm in the market for a Tier 7 premium, and it has to be a British Tier 7 premium, you get HMS Nelson. Because the Nelson is fantastic. It's armed with 16-inch guns, which is pretty spicy at Tier 7, and it has the most amazing heel. And if you already have the Nelson, you get the hood, because it's armed with 15-inch guns, and it's faster than this. And if you have the Nelson and you have the hood and you absolutely have to get a Tier 7 premium British battleship, you get HMS Repulse. Hang on a minute, Jingles. Isn't the Repulse Tier 6? Yes, it is. And you'd still be better off getting the Repulse over spending the extra gold on HMS Duke of York because it's faster, it's more accurate, substantially more accurate, and it's got bigger guns, 15-inch guns. You see, the problem with the Duke of York and the King George V ships, well, there's a couple of problems. They're only armed with 14-inch guns, which are kind of at Tier 7. I mean, it could be worse. You could be the Marlborough at Tier 9 and still have 14-inch guns, but having them at Tier 7 is, you know, bad enough. And they're also not particularly accurate. You're going to have a lot of frustration with these 14-inch rifles here on the Duke of York. They've basically got the same sort of dispersion curve as the equivalent tier German battleships, which are also a bit hit and miss. Usually more miss than hit. I mean, they're not as bad as the Gneisenau's. Nothing's as bad as the Gneisenau's, but they're definitely not good. And of course, the other problem with the Duke of York and the King George V, and well, to be completely fair, this really does kind of apply to all Tier 5 to Tier 7 battleships, is the terrible armour plating. The bow and stern armour plating is only 25mm, which means you are going to get smashed by anybody firing 15-inch or higher armour-piercing shells at you. Which is why I would always recommend the Nelson or the Hood over the Duke of York, because they're armed with 16 or 15-inch guns respectively, and while neither of them can take it any more than the Duke of York can, they can at least dish it out. Of course, I mean, you know, if you're facing cruisers that are dumb enough to give you a nice big flat broadside in open water, and you are smart enough to remember what your 2 key is for, anybody in any battleship or even a cruiser is capable of getting results like that. You see, British battleship captains in World of Warships tend to have a bit of a bad reputation, and to be completely fair, it's not really their fault, because their high explosive shells are just so good. Exemplified, of course, by the Conqueror at Tier 10, a ship that it's not unusual to see doing 12,000 damage per high explosive salvo, because, of course, British battleships get this quarter caliber penetration rule for their high explosive shells. It's the same as the Germans get. For some reason, Japanese destroyers on with 100mm guns, but that's an entirely different can of worms. Basically, British battleship high explosive shells hit really, really hard. So it's not unusual to see British battleship players just disengage their brain and just spam high explosive the entire match, because, and again, it's not really their fault, they'll do pretty well by doing just that. And the Duke of York is no different. In fact, these 14-inch high explosive shells are not that much worse than the Conqueror's 16-inch high explosive shells. Each one of these shells has a 41% chance of setting a fire on the target and will do a maximum of 6,100 damage. And of course, thanks to that unique King George V class gun layout, it's actually got 7 of these guns at the front rather than 6. Yeah. You can do all right just by spamming high explosive in this thing. But Dragonfire is one of that rare breed of British battleship players. He actually knows what the 2 key is for, and does switch to the armour piercing when the situation demands it, as the enemy Nürnberg found out the hard way. I do kind of feel sorry for... I mean, well, no, I don't. I do and I don't feel sorry for the Nürnberg. I mean, he knows what he did, right? You don't... Tier 6 and Tier 5 cruisers are basically made out of fuel, ammunition and citadels, with very few exceptions. Maybe the Fur Attacker. You don't sail out in the middle of open water at the very beginning of a battle when there are battleships around in one of those ships. The Nürnberg did, he paid the price. Hopefully he learned his lesson. You know, you can learn the easy way or the hard way. He chose the hard way. Hey, kill number 2 on the Piotr Veliki. I think he did it with the armour piercing as well. I mean, he didn't need to do much more damage. He'd already set multiple fires. Ooh. A big fat broadside Prince Heinrich. Prince Heinrich's a battle cruiser, isn't it? It's even worse armoured than... It doesn't look like he's going to get the shot, though. I mean, he's got the armour piercing loaded, but now the island's in the way. Oh well, never mind. That could have been juicy. But yeah, why would you get the Duke of York? Because, I mean, everything that I've said about the Duke of York is true of the King George V, and the King George V doesn't cost you anything. I don't know. I mean, I guess you've already got the Nelson and the Hood, and the Repulse at Tier 6. Like I said, I mean, it's not a bad ship. Oh dear. You know what I was saying about Tier 5 and 6 cruisers? Oh, and it's an Omaha as well. Yeah, the poster child for extremely squishy, crunchy on the outside, chewy on the inside, Tier 5 and 6 cruisers. If there was ever a ship that had been purposefully designed to just explode into a shower of splinters the second a battleship or even a heavy cruiser so much as looks at it, the Omaha is that ship. Oh, he's got some shots at the Scharnhorst. The angles aren't good, however. He's backing up here because he doesn't want to get caught in a crossfire from the Prince Heinrich over there. And the Scharnhorst has his number. They're both exchanging armour-piercing salvos. Now, the Scharnhorst only has 283mm guns, but they've got a faster reload and they are more accurate. The Duke of York's 14-inch guns, however, well, as you could just see there, at a range of about 13 kilometres. Most of your shots are going to miss. I mean, the accuracy is, it's just not good. Also, the Scharnhorst has something that he doesn't. Good secondaries. Oh, and torpedoes, although at that range he doesn't have to worry about either of those. You notice how he's using the terrain here, so he doesn't have to fight anything more than the Scharnhorst at once. Oh, hello, whose are those torpedoes? Oh, it's fine. I mean, there's a very conveniently Duke of York-shaped gap in between the torpedoes there. The enemy team are taking a bit of a beating. And for once, the scores at the top of the screen in the replay are actually accurate. So the Scharnhorst has ducked in behind an island. There's a Pensacola behind an island over there as well. It'd be really nice if the Pensacola took his brave pills and popped out from behind the island, but he's not showing any signs of wanting to do so. So Dragonfire is going to, well, he's going to attempt, are these? So we've got 2 German battle cruisers here, and it looks like they're both going to do a torpedo drive-by on each other. That's probably not going to end well for either of them. Oh, no torpedo kills. Fortunately for the Prince Heinrich, Dragonfire happened to have the high explosive loaded, although he has set a fire. Although it's a toss-up whether or not it's going to be his fire, or it was in fact the Gneisenau secondaries who finished him. Prince Heinrich did get torpedoes away. But it looks like, how do you miss from that range? I mean, there couldn't have been a kilometre between the 2 ships. But it looks like both of them missed with their torpedoes. Well, the Gneisenau's in a tough spot. I mean, it's a tough spot entirely of his own making. He charged a Prince Heinrich, a Scharnhorst 43 and a Pensacola at the same time. He did take down the Prince Heinrich, with some assistance from Dragonfire here, but there's no way he's surviving. Yeah, he's dead. Pensacola actually finished him. I mean, it was only a matter of time. There's only 4 enemies left. And while I'm sure Dragonfire would prefer not to turn to give broadside to the Scharnhorst 43 or the Pensacola, he's got enemy destroyer problems. He's got his hydro running. He's got the high explosive loaded. He's nailed the Akatsuki. Oh, yeah, there's that crossfire. He's probably going to take a torpedo here. But if not for the hydro, he would have taken a lot more than that. And turning into the torpedoes, well, if he keeps turning, he's going to angle successfully against the Scharnhorst. And that Pensacola, oh, he's loading the armour piercing. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, you're going to need to back up faster than that, sunshine, because this is going to leave a mark. There it is.
We sank an enemy cruiser.
Oh man, well, it's not even a tier 5 or 6 cruiser, is it? Oh no, it is tier 6. Yeah, it used to be tier 7. That's right. The Pensacola used to be tier 7 and the Cleveland used to be tier 6. The Pensacola was so bad at tier 7, they moved it down to tier 6, where it's still shit. Still got the armour piercing loaded. Still exchanging armour piercing salvos with the Scharnhorst 43. Although, again, probably he is switching to the high explosive because against angled battleships, the high explosive does a really good job. He's trying to turn in here, but the Scharnhorst has a really fast reload because it is only armed with 283mm guns and it might catch... Yeah, there it is. Okay, he was very lucky there not to eat more damage than that. See, the Scharnhorst's in a very tough spot. Well, I mean, both surviving enemy ships are in a very tough spot because they're the only two surviving enemy ships. But when there's this few of you left, even though they are scoring some kills... Somebody, the enemy, what is that? Zara, yes. Just managed to nail the New Orleans. But outnumbered 5-2 like this, it's difficult to see how the enemy team are going to manage to pull this one back. See, the problem when you're this heavily outnumbered is it's virtually impossible to be able to angle against everybody who's got a line of sight to you. You angle against the guy up in front of you, the guy on your flank has got a nice big fat juicy broadside to shoot at. So the Scharnhorst, I mean, he's making the most of a really bad situation. He's using the island there. You are going to use the island there, right? You're not going to come out. I mean, you know that Dragonfire's here, right? You were just exchanging shots with him, and somebody just flipped this cap circle. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The armour piercing is loaded. The thing is, though, have a look at the friendly Nuremberg. Oh yeah, it was a decent hit. Look at he's got the torpedoes away. That's a smart move from the Nuremberg because the Scharnhorst doesn't even know he's there. He's gonna see him any second now, but probably too late to do anything about it. And the fact that a tier 6 cruiser is still alive at this stage in a tier 7 battle is pretty damn impressive. And he's nailed the Scharnhorst. Good job. Also, his name's hilarious. Your mom on my boat. Good job, Nuremberg. And there, of course, are the Scharnhorst torpedoes, because of course they are. There he is in chat. Don't worry, boys. I got him. That was the Nuremberg. There he is again. Couldn't have done it without me. He's a cocky little so-and-so, isn't he? Hey, he just torpedoed and sunk a Scharnhorst. I think he's entitled to be. And there's the last remaining enemy ship, the Zara. Tier 7 Italian heavy cruiser. Emerging from his high-speed smoke, the second he fires his guns, because, well, that's the problem with Italian heavy cruisers with high-speed smoke. You have to stop shooting, because heavy cruisers have such bad smoke-firing penalties that the second you fire your guns, smoke or no smoke, you'll be seen from the other side of the map. Although it's difficult to see how he's going to turn this one around, outnumbered 5-1, such as he is, with no cap circles. Yeah, he's not, is he? Of course he isn't. Shots out. Again, the armour piercing from Dragonfire 29. Boom! Headshot. There goes the Zara. 6 kills. First blood. Is that 2? No, that's 3 devastating strikes. And of course, the Kraken Unleashed. Dragonfire 29. That rarest breed of British battleship captains who actually understands what the armour piercing ammunition is for. He actually did 4 times as much damage with the armour piercing as he did with the high explosive in this battle. In these ships, it's usually the other way around. Although we still haven't established why you would buy an HMS Duke of York if you had a bunch of gold burning a hole in your pocket. You get HMS Nelson because it's got 16-inch guns. And if you've got the Nelson, you get HMS Hood because it's got 15-inch guns. And if you've got HMS Hood, you bypass the York entirely and you get the Repulse because it's also got 15-inch guns, they're more accurate, it's faster, and it doesn't get as bad matchmaking as a tier 7. But I suppose if you're unlucky enough to open a seasonal container and find this thing inside it, well, one, it's not bad, there's just nothing great about it, other than the high explosive shells. And of course everything that the Duke of York does, the King George V does for free. But I suppose the good thing that you have to take away from having this thing pop out of a special seasonal container is you can never get it out of a seasonal container again. So there's that. You can tell I don't work in sales. It's not my job to sell this thing. I'm just here to describe it. I mean, it's not bad. It's all right. And the high explosive shells are good. And, you know, if you're smart enough to understand that it actually has armor-piercing shells and they're not completely terrible, then, like Dragonfire 29, when the situation arises, the armor-piercing shells, especially against cruisers, offer guaranteed kills. Anyway, congratulations, Dragonfire. 6 kills. Pretty impressive. I hope you all enjoyed watching him. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.